Hello guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing another 2020 NHL mock draft simulation, but this time around trades will finally be enabled. Over the past few simulations I didn't have trades just to make it a little bit easier for me to put together, but today I had a little bit more time on my hands without the NHL games and I thought, hey, we might as well enable trades and we might see a couple in this video. Stay tuned. So if you are watching this and haven't already, hit that subscribe button, make sure y'all do so. We're on the road to 25K subscribers and we'd love to have you. And of course, hit that like button for more videos just like this one. Now, besides trades being enabled in this video, we also know a little bit more about the draft order in the first round. Instead of the 1 through 15, we now know the picks 1 through 19. The Habs enter the draft at 16, then at number 17 is the Chicago Blackhawks, number 18 is the Devils with the Coyotes pick, and then at number 19 is the Calgary Flames. So a little bit more picks there to go in depth in this video. So we're going to start out, of course, with the first overall pick, and just like the last time, the New York Rangers will be selecting Alexis Lafreniere. Now, there has been some debate on whether they would trade that pick. Personally, I don't really see it unless a team like, it's been speculated about the Red Wings or the Senators. I don't think either of those teams has what New York would want in terms of defensive value or even just in terms of good players. I really don't think that they would be able to give up what New York would want for that first overall pick, and I think they will select Alexis Lafreniere. Obviously, the best player in this draft, but a guy that I think can make an immediate impact, be potentially on that second line. Maybe you could have Panarin on the first. It doesn't really matter. You got Alexis Lafreniere, so you're pretty fine anyways. And now, after Alexis Lafreniere heads to the New York Rangers, we head on to the second overall pick with the LA Kings. And at this spot, just like last time, I see them selecting German left winger Tim Stützle, a guy who's had a great year in the DEL, over 30 points, looking very solid offensively. And although I don't have him number 2 in my prospect rankings, he would be an excellent fit for the LA Kings. In terms of wing prospects, they're still pretty good. They got guys like Arthur Kaliyev, who I think could be a big impact player in the NHL, but it's really stacked in terms of the center depth with guys like Alex Turcotte and Kupari and guys like Gabriel Velarde as well. Super solid prospects. And even though I think they probably would try to get Quinton Byfield, I think Tim Stützle will end up being their pick. I think it's just too good of a fit for them. I don't know if he'll be in the NHL next season. I think they take their time with him, but I think he will be an excellent first line player for them alongside a guy like Anton Kopitar. Will be pretty nice to see. Then going on to the third overall pick and the Ottawa Senators, and at this spot, of course, I still think they would take Quinton Byfield if available. If they didn't, then Detroit's having a pretty awesome time, but I think at number 3, Ottawa still goes for Byfield or Stützle, one of those two. When it comes to Byfield, though, I think he is a brilliant fit for the Sens if they're able to land him. A future number 1 center, I think, can bring almost everything, and if he's able to round out his defensive skills, which I think is what he will do this upcoming OHL season, that's a guy who I think can make an amazing impact and be a franchise-type player for Ottawa. Then going on to number 4 and the Detroit Red Wings, and this is a spot that I've been debating for a very long time. You guys know I've had in the past Jake Sanderson going at that spot, guys like Cole Perfetti, Marco Rossi, but at this point right now, I see Lucas Raymond being the pick for the Detroit Red Wings. I think it's between 3 players still for Detroit: Cole Perfetti, Jake Sanderson, and Lucas Raymond. And Lucas Raymond is a guy that I think could go all over the place. I think could go top 5, but also I could see maybe going as far down as number 9 or even number 10. It's really wide open for him, but I think Detroit likes him a lot, as they should. I have him number 4 in my board at the moment. I love the player. I think he's going to be an amazing top 6 guy for Detroit. Again, I think should have one more year in the SHL, but is a guy that is so gifted offensively that putting him alongside a guy like Larkin or an Anthony Mantha would be freaking sweet to see. Then going on to number 5, the other Ottawa Senators pick, and because of course they got Quinton Byfield number 3, I think they do take a defenseman here, and that guy will be Jake Sanderson. You know, I've had Sanderson going to Detroit in the past, I've seen him going to Anaheim and all this, and even though I think Drysdale could be a fit there, I don't think they take Drysdale, mostly because they already got their offensive defenseman in the system. They got Shabbat, who's excellent offensively, Brandstrom, who's excellent offensively, and besides maybe arguably a guy like a Bernard Docker, they don't really have a guy who can really specialize on defense, and I think that's what Sanderson can bring. Although I don't want him anywhere near number 5, I don't think he deserves to be there, I think Sanderson can provide some excellent value and defensively be an anchor on that Ottawa Senators defense in a good way. And then we go on to the 6th overall pick and the Anaheim Ducks. And I'm going to be honest, if Jamie Drysdale is available at this spot, If Anaheim ends up passing on him, then I quite frankly don't know what they're doing. Unless Lucas Raymond is the pick there, I don't think there's any reason to not take Drysdale if you're Anaheim. An amazing offensive guy who can provide, I think, some good defensive value. He's a guy that I think Anaheim could round out into a great, young, talented defenseman, and I think that is what he is. I think I have him either number 6 or number 7, I can't remember on my board. He's in that area, and I think for Anaheim, he'd be an excellent pick. In terms of their prospect pool, my main gripe for them is the defensive system there. They have a couple of guys that are decent, but nothing that stands out. And I think for Anaheim, to be able to get a guy like that at number 6 is huge. You have him developing in the same system of guys like Hampus Lindholm and Josh Manson, 2 excellent other defensemen to learn from, and I think Drysdale honestly would thrive in a place like Anaheim. Then going on to number 7, the New Jersey Devils, I think would select at this spot Alexander Holtz. And although there is some great other options here, you guys know, I'm pretty much hell-bent on the Devils selecting Holtz at this spot. It's just a gut feeling, but I think it just works perfectly for them. A guy who I think can become the best goal scorer of this draft, has some amazing skill and one of the best shots, of course, as well in this class. A guy that I think you could put on alongside a Nico Hischier, a Jack Hughes, and they just work off each other beautifully. There is still some holes in his game, but in terms of that goal scoring potential, it's 100% there. Then going on to number 8 and the Buffalo Sabres, and at this spot, I think they would have to select Marco Rossi. I think this would be a great spot to get Rossi in. I have him number 5 in my rankings, and getting him in number 8 is quite the steal for the Buffalo Sabres. I think Rossi is a guy that can dominate at the NHL level, and having him as a second-line center behind Eichel is just nasty. Yes, he is a short player, but in terms of his offensive ceiling, it's just insane. And I think he could be one of the few players that gets a good look in the NHL this next season. Then going on to the 9th overall pick, and obviously I have trades enabled, and this will be the one trade that we have to announce. Right now, the Chicago Blackhawks trade for the Minnesota Wild 9th overall pick in exchange for the Minnesota Wild. They get Brandon Saad, 17th overall pick, a 2023 rounder, and a 2021 4th round pick. So the Chicago Blackhawks move up to the 9th overall pick, and at this spot, of course, they will select Yaroslav Askarov. I think this is a potential move that could be happening, but I think for Chicago, again, Askarov is a guy they are 100% dying to have. That's a prospect that goaltending-wise could be the future for them, and again, goaltending-wise in their system, there's really not too much. I think if you add a guy like Askarov, even though I don't think he's worth a 9th overall pick, still is the best goaltending prospect in this draft, and if you're going to bet on anybody, it might as well be him. Then going on to the 10th overall pick, after this trade, the Winnipeg Jets, I still think, will select Anton Lundell. Now, it's between Lundell and Perfetti at this spot, but I think Lundell is just too perfect of a pick for them to let go of. I think he's a guy that can develop into their perfect second-line center who brings potentially Selke-worthy years in his future. A guy that also offensively I think will work beautifully with a guy like Patrick Laine. Solid playmaker in that respect. And I think at number 10, a solid pick for Winnipeg and going to be a solid player in the future for them too. Then going on to number 11, of course, he had to fall down this hard, sadly, but the Predators get themselves a mighty fine player here, that being Cole Perfetti. I think for the Preds, being able to get a guy like Perfetti at number 11 is a pretty great pick. And it all depends, I think, on Askarov, because if Minnesota were to be at number 9, I think maybe a guy like Cole Perfetti would have been their pick. But with Askarov going number 9 and Lundell, I think, being almost a sure bet for Winnipeg at number 10, you have at number 11, the Preds getting Cole Perfetti. I think would be an excellent, solid player there. Who I think if for Nashville would probably play on the left wing unless they were to get rid of one of their centers there. But a guy that is mega talented alongside of Philip Forsberg could learn a lot in that system. And I mean, for Nashville, that would be one of the best prospects they've had in a while. So for them, pretty solid ad, I must say. And now going on to number 12 and the Florida Panthers, and obviously they've gotten rid of Dale Talon, so I think they're going to make a better pick than Kaden Guhle at this spot. And at number 12, I think they select Jack Quinn. Getting Jack Quinn at number 12, not a bad pick whatsoever, and I think for the Florida Panthers will be huge for them. Again, they got rid of Dale Talon, so I'm not sure they're going to go completely old school with this pick, but I think Jack Quinn is a guy that would fit pretty solid on Florida in a couple of years. They obviously, this free agency, are probably going to have to get rid of a couple of guys, mainly Finley Hoffman, maybe even of getting Dadonov. And I think you could add a guy like Jack Quinn, who would be great alongside a Huberdeau or a Barkov, and work pretty well alongside each other. If it's not Alexander Holtz, then Jack Quinn is probably going to be the best goal scorer of this draft. He just has that talent in him every single game. And I think for Florida at number 12, pretty solid pick. Then going on to number 13 and the Carolina Hurricanes, of course, this was the Toronto pick, and at this spot, I think they select Rodion and Amirov. Now, obviously, Askarov not available to them at number 13, but I think they go for Amirov, who would be a wonderful bet at number 13, a guy who can learn alongside a guy like Svechnikov and Teuvo Teravainen and some other excellent forwards. I think Amirov is a guy who's a great two-way player, one of the best overall forwards, I think, in this draft, and a guy that can bring almost everything. But it's also the little things that Amirov brings, and I think Carolina is one of those teams that will definitely appreciate that. Then going on to number 14 and the Edmonton Oilers. Last time around, I had them selecting Lucas Reichel, but at this spot, the more I think about it, the more I think that Seth Jarvis might be their pick. Obviously, they haven't been shy away from picking more smaller forwards, the guys like Kailer Yamamoto in the past in the first round, and I think Seth Jarvis would be along those lines, but would be an excellent player as well. Although I think there is some problems in his game, in the first half obviously wasn't as impressive nearly as the second half. I think that's a guy that the skill he has and the play, the hockey IQ, and just the energy that he has at points can really work well in Edmonton. And again, I mean, it's overstated, but a guy like him with McDavid would be super fun to watch. Then going on to number 15, we have from the Toronto Maple Leafs, from the Pittsburgh Penguins pick. At this spot, I think they select Braden Schneider, a right defenseman who I think can provide some good, solid value for Toronto. And although he might take a couple of years to get up to that point, I think Schneider is a guy that can provide some solid overall defensive game. And I don't have him nearly in the top 15. I have him in the early second round. I still think, though, for Toronto, that could be a pretty good pick. They might end up trading down, or they might end up trading that pick all together. If they go at number 15, I think Schneider is the fit for them. Then going on to number 16 for the Montreal Canadiens. This has been a wildly debated pick. I think Seth Jarvis might be the pick if he was available, but at number 16, I think they go for NCAA player Dylan Holloway, a guy who could fit perfectly on that left wing and play pretty well there, and a guy who has some great size. 6 foot, uses the body fantastically, and is super effective in his own zone. That's a player that I think, alongside a guy like Amirov, does all the little things right. He isn't an exceptional player in any one thing, but it's the energy, it's the diversity in his game that I think Montreal will really love to use on that left side. Then going on to number 17 in the Minnesota Wild, of course, they traded back from Chicago, but at number 17, they'll still get a pretty solid player, and I think they will select Connor Zary. When it comes to Connor Zary, I'm not sure if I would select him 17, especially ahead of some other players, but Zary is a guy who I think is a pretty good fit for the Wild. He could fix some of those center depth issues, and I'm not sure if he's going to be a first line or even a second line center, but a guy who can be a very effective third line C, a guy who can be that middle six player, be solid on the penalty kill, and maybe even on the power play as well. That's a guy that has a lot of utility and can bring a lot of value for the Wild. And now on to number 18 and the New Jersey Devils, of course, this with the Coyotes pick, and they already selected Alexander Holtz with the first pick, and I think they could go for another forward, but I think they will go for a D-man at this spot and will select Helge Grans. I think Helge Grans is a very solid pick at this point. Maybe it wouldn't be my pick for New Jersey, but a player who I think will be a great up-and-coming top 4D for them. More of a safe pick when we look at a defenseman in this draft class, but a guy who I think can provide some excellent defensive value when it's all said and done, and a guy that overall is one of the more complete D-men in this class. A guy that, again, won't wow you, but you already got Ty Smith going on that defense in the future, so you're going to need more of a reliable, steady defenseman that won't be that top guy, but can still provide a lot of value, and I think for New Jersey, that's what they get with Grans at number 18. Then going on at number 19 in the Calgary Flames, and at this spot, I see them also defenseman? What the heck am I talking? Selecting a defenseman, and at this spot, I think they go with Canadian defenseman Kaiden Guhle. Now, they haven't selected a defenseman first since 2017 with Juuso Välimäki, and I think it's about time they kind of restock the defenseman cupboards. With Kaiden Guhle, he wouldn't be my choice and wouldn't be nearly my choice at number 19, but I think Guhle is a guy that's almost guaranteed to go in that top 20. With Calgary, though, I think he's a pretty decent fit, bringing some excellent size, some decent defensibility, but a guy that can shut down other players and again bring that grit that I think Calgary would want to have on their team. Again, wouldn't be my pick, but for Calgary, I think it makes a lot of sense. So, that is the top 19, of course, right now for my NHL mock draft. Let me know down in the comments, what do you agree and disagree with? What do you see happening? And where do you see these players going on draft day? Of course, hit that like button if you've enjoyed. And of course, hit that subscribe button also for joining the Grav. We'd love to have you on the road to 25K subs. And if you enjoyed, of course, make sure you join for more videos just like this one. Share this video with your friends, get it out there, and click on this card right here to watch all of my 2021 NHL draft content right in one playlist. My name is Nathan, and I'll see y'all in the next video or stream. I cannot talk in this video, as you probably noticed, but I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.